Watopian Weekly. You should listen to it every week because I'm gonna listen to it. Yay!
Welcome to Watopian Weekly, Season 4, Episode 11, the podcast for Zwifters, cyclists, and everyone else. Each week, we're here to discuss all things Zwift, life, and beyond. My name is Dustin, and... ladies and gentlemen, today we have a special guest, a gravel pro that you gotta know, a guy that appreciates a good Hotdish, and some wide tires. Here to talk about gravel racing and preparing for such races using Zwift and his favorite food from the roller grill at Kwik Trip, Chase Wark! Woo, Chase, how are you doing?
Good. I've never had a guitar intro.
Oh man, well, things are just getting started, man.
Yeah, this is a great way to kick it off.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
It's the band director in him.
Yeah. That's right. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Back from vacation with the fresh legs and a new haircut. The man on a mission to right all the wrongs from the last ladder season with his right and left legs. A crusher of dreams and fulfiller of fantasies. You know him and so do I. Josh! Woo! Josh, welcome.
Yeah, these intros keep getting more complex every time we do these.
What? But it's true, though. It's true. Josh has been crushing dreams here, and he's back from vacation. And he's wearing a hat, so I can't tell. But I think you did get a new haircut, I think, right?
No, man, I'm growing it out.
Maybe
it's still short.
Maybe it's time that you do need one. Then. No. So anyway. Chase, thank you so much for being here and taking part in this. I know it does get a little crazy here, but we really appreciate this, man. And waking up so early, this is fantastic. So so generally we talk about we start off with our weekly catch up here, and the biggest thing here that I know you're probably going to want to talk about is what have you been doing this week, man? You've had a pretty big week.
I mean, really, I've done nothing this week because I drove home from Stillwater, Oklahoma on Monday, which is probably a day or two later than most folks because the race was canceled, and Ted King and I decided to stick around and do a 300-mile FKT route or go after the FKT for a 300-mile route. And yeah, that took a little under 17 hours for me, and I got the record. And I feel like I've just been eating this whole entire week. I'm like, man, yeah, which normally I am eating, but I'm also biking then, so I don't feel as bad. But I'm like, man, I meal prepped a whole bunch of stuff early in the week, and I'm just like, that's already gone. I'm just
churning through it.
Just yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
yogurt tubs, cereal boxes have been destroyed.
Yeah. Oh man, what's your go-to cereal? That what's your favorite one? There's
a difference between my favorite one and my go-to one. So my favorite is probably Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And the actual Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I'm on that mid-pack pro gravel budget, so I never buy actual Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I buy a Walmart brand. And then what I actually use before some of my earlier rides, or most rides I guess now, is Great Value Frosted Flakes, because there's no fiber in it, and it's just super light and easy. Even Cinnamon Toast Crunch I think has a little bit of fiber, so it's just really easy on the gut. I can essentially just wake up, make a bowl of Frosted Flakes. I sprinkle cinnamon on it to make it taste a little bit like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and then then I just destroy the bowl of cereal, and I can bike. I used to do rice, but it takes a little bit to digest. So
Yeah.
I wasn't able to hop on the bike right away. And now to like save time, it's wake up, eat, hop on the bike within like 30 minutes or an hour.
Oh man, that's incredible. Wow. All right. Well, yeah. Well, that's good though. Yeah, and we're definitely going to be talking about that FKT because that I just still cannot believe that. That was so cool. So, congratulations on that, by the way. Yeah. We'll talk about that. And the fastest known time is what FKT stands for, and we'll talk about that too a little bit later here too. So, yeah. So definitely eating and recovering. That's a big thing that I know. Josh and I get caught up in this a lot too about racing all the time.
You get on my case all the time about racing too much.
Well. And then I need to take rest days too. Like today, I'm taking a rest day because I've felt like crap, and we can get to why I feel like crap later. But Josh, how are you doing, man?
Good. Yeah. Piggybacking off that, I always joke that my rest days are the Zone 2 rides from races I get dropped in. So, but anyway, 3 races this week. DRS. Finished real poorly, like 60th, 70. Don't even want to talk about that one. Had 2 ladder races. Pulled out a nice upset win yesterday.
Nice, crushing dreams.
Yeah, got first overall and team win. So
nice,
good stuff.
Man.
Good stuff.
Who'd you guys play? Just so we can shame them on the podcast. No,
OTR party crew. I think
the party
crew. Yeah, we were 0-8 versus that team all time.
Yeah,
so
those guys have destroyed us too. So good work.
Finally good to get a win there. So
get some revenge.
Yeah.
Sorry, crush a dream. Sorry about that. I don't mean to step on yours, but yeah, man, that's great. Well, yeah, I've been doing about the same. I've been trying to recover and everything too. DRS, the Dirt Racing Series with Chase. Do you do any of those races at all? Sometimes or at all during the winter?
I don't do any Zwift racing actually. I've had Zwift for 8 years now.
Yeah.
I think, or 9. And
so you were real early.
Yeah.
Adopter, yeah.
And I've never done a Zwift race. I've never, unless you count riding with a pacer person thing, I've never done a group ride. Well, we can get more into that.
Yeah,
later,
we'll get more into that because we should convince you to do that because it is really fun and everything too. We'll talk
everyone.
About that. Yeah. For me, I've just been doing training stuff that my coach has been doing. I've got Fast Cat Coaching. It's been helping me out a lot, and no, we don't get sponsored by them, but if they want to sponsor us, they could. But that's been awesome doing those. I feel like I have definitely been getting faster. However, I'm still not. I'm tired today, and like on Wednesday, I feel like I'm putting in everything I can for the Dirt Racing Series, and I ended up with 4th or 5th. I thought it was 5th on the night, but then I think some people got DQ'd or something, and I ended up 4th. So that's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's a lot better than what I did. So
but that was a lot harder than I anticipated. That park perimeter loop with that sprint in there, and I will say that my goal was to the first time was FAL on that sprint. Which I ended up getting like 8th, which I was surprised because I wasn't really, but I was fresh, so I just went in for the all in on the sprint. And then the second time around, it was first across the line. So that's the one that I really wanted to go after, and I got I did pretty well on that one too. It was in the top 10. And then I just saved everything for the finish, and then just had to catch people on the end, which that was pretty good too. So I stuck to my plan, and that helped out a lot too. But then. But then after that, I feel like I just haven't been doing so great. We had a ladder race last night on Friday night. We're recording this on a Saturday, and I felt like I had nothing left at all. We played the TFC Mutants. Anyway, that's a 5 versus 5 race, and we did well. We won. We definitely won, but I just didn't feel like I could contribute that much to the team. So I felt a little bad. I got like a second to last or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
And I was putting in attacks and pulling people back, so it's not like it's like if we're soccer players and stuff like that. The defender wins even when he doesn't score a goal or he or she doesn't score a goal. So yeah, same thing. Okay. So we can talk more about that later too if you want to hear about my big failures and stuff like that. I'd be happy to discuss them. But Chase, we got to talk about you, man. You're here. This is awesome. So we've got a list of questions. I've been talking to other people, and there's hey, Chase is going to be on the podcast this week. You have any questions for him and stuff and people have been sending me questions, and so we've got a lot of questions. A lot of them I tried to send to you earlier, and now we've got more than that too. So we'll try to get to everything, and I know we want to be respectful with your time and everything as well, of course, and stuff too. So and we were talking in the pre-production meeting about how you ended up in Winona and everything, because you're in Winona, Minnesota. I'm in La Crescent, Minnesota. We're about 30 miles apart. You could easily ride down here. I couldn't ride up there because I'm not that fast. But
I ride down to La Crescent all the time because
oh man,
for training, I bet not a lot of people do this, but I love biking on Highway 61 because it's pretty fresh pavement. And I feel safe because there's rumble strips and then there's a big shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's a little twisty enough that people probably aren't texting. And if they are, there's the rumble strips to hope,
yeah.
I feel pretty safe on that, where a lot of these roads, they don't have shoulders, but there's even more twisty. But yeah, I feel safe, and it's just 25 miles of I mean, I run the stop sign. Maybe I shouldn't admit that, but there's just one. And I essentially, if you look at all of my power profiles, because I use Zwift because you can consistently pedal, and I'm designing a lot of my routes in the drift list to be consistently pedaling. And that's you just go and you're never coasting. So it's pretty flat, and it's beautiful because you're right along the Mississippi River. You have with the Perot State Park on the other side for a lot of it. Yeah.
That freshly paved road probably helps limit that fatigue.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful time to be doing it too, because where Chase and I live, it's all the eagles are out and everything out on the river, and the bald eagles and stuff, and it's just beautiful, and you see these giant birds just sitting there, ripping apart a fish or something. It's amazing. Yeah. But so what we need to do, Chase, is that there's going to be I do these early morning rides around here. So I usually get dropped on the climb. So what we'll do here is you start at 4 a.m, get down here, and then I'll pick you up, and then we'll go to the race, and then you can just pace me up the climb. What do you think? Where the yeah,
I like that. It'll be like Cape Epic teammates, kind of just push in the back and
yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at doing the push in the back thing, because I've helped a lot of juniors kind of learn how to settle into a group, and it's okay, well, he's dropped now, so I'll drop back and just slowly give him a push back in. And is it the donut ride?
Well, we have the donut ride. You've heard about the world famous donut ride. Oh my gosh, that's on Saturdays. Yes, you got to come down for that, man. That's incredible. Yes, come down, please. Yeah. I would say I buy you a donut, but
you could use the lead out train.
Yeah, I could definitely use the lead out train, but I'm usually last, so I don't. The line is way too long, so sometimes I don't even get a donut. I just sit outside and talk. But you got to come to that, man. You got to come to that. That's so much fun. And that one's on Saturdays, and that one's 5:30 a.m. and we're usually done around 7:30. It's only 30 miles, so it's but usually we always go. See, now you have now this is a little bit of insider Minnesota stuff here, but you have Blado's Bakery there in Winona, and Blado's brings donuts to La Crescent on that Saturday. So so that's how that whole thing worked, and it's we go to the coffee shop, and then the one coffee shop in La Crescent and do that. I can't believe you've heard about the world famous donut ride. Well, of course it's world famous, so
yeah. Honestly, what's crazy is I've only had Blado's donuts 2 times. It's one of those things people will travel from the cities just for like it's the thing you need to do when you're in Winona. But if
Yep.
you live in Winona, you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we
Yeah,
have
you
this.
just don't think about it.
We have this
Yeah.
bakery, and yeah, because
Yeah,
it would be nice if it like if I lived in La Crescent or La Crosse and I could make
Yeah.
a ride like, oh yeah, perfect
Yeah.
halfway stop, and yeah, but actually, sorry, this is such a
No,
far
it's okay.
tangent. I
Go
mean,
for it.
there's a bakery. I think it's in one of the towns just east of La Crosse. I can't remember. It leads
Probably
to like if you head
Linda's?
north of it. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
Linda's.
Linda's. Like
Yeah.
huge bakery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like me and my friend discovered that by accident, and then it leads to like probably one of my favorite roads in the whole
Yeah.
drift list, the like one where you go between two like split. The road
Yeah.
just it goes in between two walls of rock, and like I think I'm
It's-
gonna be hitting up that bakery more often because it was super good, and then you get to ride the beautiful road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Mindoro Cut. The
Mhm.
Mindoro Cut, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Chase, we've been on the same roads, just not at the same speed at all. But yeah, that's awesome. I've only been up there once, and I want to do that. I've been to Linda's plenty, but listen, I know my way around some donut shops. But as far as going through the Mindoro Cut, I'm definitely going to go through there again too. So yeah, that's awesome. And then I got to while we're talking bakeries, I got to give a shout out to the Caledonia Bakery in Caledonia, Minnesota. They're as controversial as it sounds, I think theirs might be better than the bakery in Winona. I don't know. Oh man, that's tough to say, but
I'll have to try it because I've
yeah.
been down to Caledonia several
Yeah.
times, but it's always closed by the time I get down.
Yep.
Or like there's some like coffee shop right across the street that I'll end up going
Yeah.
to instead. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my favorite coffee shop, the Wired Rooster. Absolutely. Shout out to the Wired Rooster. You can also sponsor us, or give us free coffee. That'd be awesome. So yeah. All right. So yeah. So that's fantastic. So yeah. Well, we definitely should do something here too. So next time you're in this area, you got to let me know, and we'll go for a ride or something, or I'll watch you go by me. That'd be really cool. So yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about how did you get into cycling, and how did you specifically get into gravel cycling, and I also want to talk about Zwift too, but why don't we start with that first, please?
Yeah. So I got into, I would just say, bike riding at a very young age. I've always, so I guess we just got done talking about bakeries.
Yeah.
I think I've always been very food motivated because I got into biking because my mom and dad or my grandma, they would bike with me to the Dairy Queen. Like that was the family activity. And like we used to live probably 3 miles away from a bakery, and then we moved, and then the closest bakery was Dairy Queen. I'm getting all the foods mixed up.
I'm hungry.
The closest Dairy Queen was, I think it was like 5 or 6 miles. So then, but I was older, so I would like, and then when I say older, I mean like 12 or 13. So then, yeah, still biking with grandma. We would bike to the Dairy Queen, get some treats, and then I lived on this block. And when I say block, I mean it was a 6 mile loop, and like, man, I thought those hills were like the biggest thing ever. And actually, I always wanted to hold a circuit race around this block because it's like, I don't know, it would make for a good circuit race. So I would always like try to go fast around that. And then I ended up doing some summer hockey camps, and where I would have to bike 10 miles to hockey practice and 10 miles back.
Wow.
Up hills both ways, definitely. No.
Yeah.
No, it was super flat. There was one uphill and one downhill, or two uphill, like two very small hills each way. But when you're on like a Trek mountain, like a Trek 3700, they kind of take a little bit. And then like each time I would just be like, man, how fast can I go, and trying to increase my speed. And then that turned into me like Googling how fast do pro bikers go. And I saw like so there was like a category spreadsheet, and I saw like 20 miles per hour for Cat 5, and I'm like, oh, I'm like really close to that on some of my rides. So, and then one of my rides, crazy tailwind. So I was able to like, it was me and my friend who always biked into hockey practice. And one day I just left him because I knew I could get 20 miles per hour. And like, I didn't tell him what I was doing. I was just like, I'm going for this. And then, yeah, ended up doing 20. And then I like stopped later on because I'm like, okay, I gotta like make sure my friend is okay. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, sorry, I wanted to go really fast. And then, so that was when I was like 13, 14. And then we bought a road bike next spring. And all I knew was when you live in the Midwest, Trek is the best, the bee's knees. And I knew carbon bikes were really good. So I was like, I need a Trek and it needs to be carbon. And my budget is like $600. So like, I mean, now knowing what I know nowadays, I definitely should have probably just bought an aluminum bike, but I bought this like old, like from the 90s, like carbon tubes with aluminum like joints.
The aluminum lugs.
And it had Ultegra shifting. So like back in the day, that was like one of the better bikes. But then this dude sold it to me for $600, and I like did my first. So that was in the spring, probably of 2013, and then I did the Minnesota State road race, and then didn't know any tactics or anything, so it didn't go the best. And then the following season did a few races, and then it just evolved into me racing more and more, like signing my parents' signature on the USAC waiver because I needed a parent. And like like if they could come they would, but sometimes it would just be like, oh yeah, like, you know, the drive is 90 minutes. My brother has hockey. So, or I would have someone be like, hey, can you sign as my guardian for the day? So, and then, so that's like how I got into road racing. I raced all through college. I've always been one to like, I like adventuring and doing these like long bike rides. And if I end up going down a road that has a bridge out and we have to cross a stream, I love that stuff. But most people I've ever biked with like hate that for some reason. I'm like, no, like this is what makes the bike ride memorable. Like I was just in Stillwater, and me and Torbjorn, we like I'm like, the Garmin says this is a through street, that sign says it's a dead end, we're about to bike through weeds, but I bet something cool is about to come up. And we like bike, and sure enough, down bridge, we have to like cross on concrete, like where the bridge collapsed. And like, I love that stuff. So like the exploring turned into me taking I had a Specialized Venge, which was one of the first ever road bikes that could fit up to 32 millimeter tires, which like, you know, so I bought that. Like it was the first thing I bought once I graduated college. I'm like, I'm getting myself a good road bike because I had like a piece together Argon 18. And then the exploring just turned into me being like, oh, like there's a gravel road. And where I grew up in Princeton, Minnesota, the gravel is this like sandy, rocky stuff where like you can't ride it really on a road bike unless it's before they put all of that down, put down the dirt for the season. So it's like very like early in the season that you have to ride. But here, most of the year you can actually ride like the gravel on a road bike. I mean, now knowing what I know, it's not like the most optimal thing, but I would be like, oh, there's a gravel road. And like, I would take that. And then it turned into like me doing like 100-mile like route, including probably 50% gravel on my Venge. And then, yeah, I actually did my first ever, well, I did my first gravel race on a cyclocross bike with 32 or 33s. But then like the race that got me into gravel racing was the day across Minnesota.
Yes.
And I did that on my Venge with 32 millimeter tires.
Yeah,
Oh my
respect.
gosh.
Talk about
Yeah.
using the tools that you have available.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
that's yeah. And then like from there I was like, and I've always liked really hard, challenging bike rides, and not ones that are like mountain climbing hard, just ones that like give me like rolling hills, crazy crosswind type of ride. And like that's what I liked on the road. And then I'm like, actually, that's like what every single gravel race is like. Like just you don't even need a crosswind because you're going slower, so there's less drafting, and it's just like, these Midwest races are usually just the strongest person wins. And for me, I've always been like aero focused as well, so that helps on these rides.
Yeah, and you do a ton of stuff too outside of racing too. It looks like you do coaching, you do like host races, like all sorts of stuff in the cycling world. Do you want to talk briefly about like all the extra all the extra stuff that you do too?
Yeah, so I coach and I put on, I'm gonna say 3.5 events because I'm like a director mentee for someone who's host, since I'm like super busy with racing this season and I'm having a kid in a couple weeks.
Congratulations. All right.
Thank you. Yeah. Plus 50 extra dad watts. I'm excited for that. Yeah, so I got into event directing in 2018 by putting on I think 2018. I did cyclocross for a while. My parents own some land that's joined up next to my grandparents, and I would use that land to train for cyclocross racing. And then me and my friend, who also lived in Princeton, somehow there was like two pretty fast dudes that grew up in this town of like 4,000 people, and we both ride bikes. And there's no like bike shop or anything in town either. But he would come over, train, and then he's like, what if you should hold a race here? So then like next I talked to my parents, and they're like I'm really set on putting this race on, but the trail that like I would need to use was just like overgrown because we didn't touch it all year. And they're like, it's going to be so much work. And I'm like, at one point I was literally, this sounds embarrassing because I was in college, so I'm not like a little kid, but I was like crying because I was like, this is my dream of like putting on a race, and like that, like it's not gonna happen. And I'm like, I will prove them wrong. So I'm like out there all day clearing stuff, and then it turns out all you need is a good lawnmower, and you can just run over everything and clear everything. And then like you only have a few like weeds to pull. So yeah, my grandma came over with her lawnmower, just whacked everything down. That made things go by quicker. And then it was like, okay, we're putting a race on, and yeah, had to figure out like through USAC and all of that stuff.
Wow.
And so then, yeah, put on like, I've always been very grassroots, like focused, like trying to make my events very welcoming for everybody. So yeah, we did that. And then a few years of cyclocross racing turned into, oh, I had this idea of like, what if I just made a fun gravel race and like have it like be different than most races. I was like, I'll make it Minnesota themed. And then I'm riding with one of my friends, and I'm like, what are some names of like Minnesota things? And then he brought up the Hotdish, which for people not from Minnesota or the Midwest, it's just like a casserole, and usually when I think of hot dish, it's usually tater tot hot dish,
Yep.
which is like tater tots on top of like a casserole. And then I was like, okay, plus it's like, it's a really cheap food to make. So I'm like, okay, we'll meal prep hot dish. I rented out Holzinger Lodge in Winona, Minnesota, and like you get this lodge, there's a whole kitchen, you can fit about probably 60, 70 people in it, plus there's outside seating, and it's $250. Like people can hold their small weddings here for $250, and it's like it's a really cool spot. So it would be really hard to hold a bike race there because there's not like a good start finish spot, but I did more of a ride, and first year success. So then I was like, okay. And then I was like, now I want to hold one at my grandma's house the next year. So then I started Granny's Gravel Grinder in 2023, because this will be its third year. And I stole the idea of giving out hugs from Bobby Wintle. And I was like, Grandma, can you give hugs to everybody who finishes? So sure enough.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
And another thing about like being community focused is serving everyone food afterwards. So it's not just finish your ride and leave, because I see that happen at a lot of events. So I was like, Grandma, can you make my great grandma like just passed away around the time of planning. So I was like, can you make goulash? Because that was my great grandma's favorite thing to make. And it was like perfect, like Granny's goulash, Granny's hugs. My grandma also made cookies. We had root beer floats that first year, and we simplified it down to tacos because it's easy to make like vegan tacos, gluten-free tacos, like all the dietary stuff. But yeah, so that's how Granny's happened. And then Trenton, the director of the Day Across Minnesota, he came out. I don't know if that was like him scouting to see if I put events on well or what, but I get like, and I was helping. So then I get a text from him as I'm helping him with training for the Arrowhead 135, which is a winter ultra fat bike event, 135 miles in northern Minnesota. He's like, hey, give me a call. Like, I have something to talk about. And I'm like, that's weird. Usually we're just like texting about coaching stuff. Like, something must really be up. And Trenton's not like the most serious training person. So I was like, that's weird. He wants to have a phone call. And then he's like, hey, like, the kids have been asking about bringing the dam back, and his kids he wanted to spend more time with his kids, which is why he stopped putting it on. And he was like, the kids want the dam back. Like, I've been thinking about it. Like, I want it to be sustainable. Would you want to take over the Day Across Minnesota? And I was like, holy smokes. And that event means a lot to me because it's the first gravel race that like got me into gravel. And I also proposed to my wife at the end of the ride in 2021. So it had like, and like I see so many people, like it means a lot to everybody. So yeah, so I essentially last year was his apprentice, I would say, and just followed him everywhere. And so then this year I'm like the director of the Day Across Minnesota. And actually the same thing happened. So this isn't like, it's kind of public. We haven't been like, I don't post on my Instagram too much that like, hey, I'm the director of these races, but I'm also, the Filthy 50 gravel event that happens in the Driftless in Lanesboro, Minnesota. Yeah. I'm also going to be, Trenton and I are kind of doing the same thing this year it's more expedited. Essentially, I'm the like director, and he's being there to like sign the documents just because it got canceled last year, which was gonna be the me follow him year and then me take it over. But yeah, so now I'm the director of the Filthy 50, and just with how busy my schedule is, I asked my friend to direct the Hotdish. So I'll just quickly ramble off. All of the registration, all of registrations can be on bikereg.com. So bike and then reg.com. They have a search function. Granny's Gravel Grinder is happening May 3rd in Princeton, Minnesota. That one's $50 to register for. The Hotdish is happening June 14th in Winona, Minnesota. If you want to preview like the Gravel Nats course, it's very similar terrain. That one is $60. And actually this year, I don't think we're going to be having Hotdish just because of like our lack of volunteers. And like usually I have my whole family come down, and it's like, so to keep it still affordable, because we'll probably just like bring in a food truck and everyone gets a free meal from the food truck, is what we're thinking. And then the Day Across Minnesota is happening August 2nd. Spots are actually still available. Is August 2nd, Gary, South Dakota to Hager City, Wisconsin. And then the Filthy 50 is happening. Registration opens on the summer solstice for the Filthy 50. That is October 11th this year. And that one will be like $60 as well. So
I got to sign up for that one because I missed it last time. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome, man. And I mean that. So you got all that going on, and then plus all your racing, the racing that you're doing too, man. I mean, this is incredible. How do you find time for anything? You know, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess like if we want to hop into why I use Zwift.
Yes.
I Zwift a lot, even sometimes in the summer, because it's easy for me to. So I also do coaching stuff. Started that in 2022 or 21. And I ride a lot of Zwift. One of the main reasons is because I can text coaching clients. I can answer emails back. I can just essentially, when I had a 9-to-5 job, I would be Zwifting sometimes while working. No one's watching on the camera, but I just did the little hand quotation marks.
Yeah.
Working while Zwifting and just training. So I've always found it a good way to be multitasking and getting, that way I don't have to come home from my bike ride. I just missed all of my emails from the day, and then it just takes longer to like, then they email me in the morning. I miss that because it probably comes in at 9 or 10. I go out on my bike ride, then I email them back at like 3 or 4 p.m. It's just I can get it done on the trainer.
It's easy and efficient.
Yeah, it's easy and efficient.
Definitely.
So
and go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say like, back to efficiency. It's like in the winter here in Minnesota, which is lasting a bit. I guess we're in spring, but in spring you still wear so many pieces of bike clothing that like, okay, now my laundry bin is filling up 5 times as fast because instead of I only wear bibs. I don't know how Zwift racers also wear a jersey, but like I just wear bibs. But then like if I went out right now, I'd be in bibs, probably a base layer, a jersey, like arm warmers, vest, leg warmers, and maybe a cap. So then I have like 5 or 6 times more pieces of clothing. And
we've joked about that too. It's just a lot easier to just walk downstairs, hop on Zwift, and be off and running as opposed to faffing about with all the actual real world bike stuff.
Yeah, I don't have to like figure out, okay, I want to ride my mountain bike, but my flat kit is on my gravel bike, so I need to move that over. And oh, I need to pump up my tires, but my pump is broken, so now I'm hand pumping my tire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. And so then, talking about efficiency, do you do a lot of when you do your workouts and everything on Zwift? Do you have things already, like, do you have them typed into the workout creator, or do you just go on? Do you use erg mode when you're doing this, or what do you usually do when you're training on Zwift?
Yeah, so I have a coach, Noah Middlestat. I think it's gimpcyclist.com, or he's Gimp Cyclist on Instagram, and he's been great. I will just take his workouts and I'll use the custom workout creator, and then I'll just build that workout into Zwift. And I mean, I know there's the function of like you can link your training peaks and then boom, it's right there. But for me, I do a little different warm up than he like gives. And I know he's just like probably dragging stuff from his training peaks workout stuff. But so that also like when it's like a 15-minute warm up in training peaks, then Zwift just makes that like the ramp the whole time. Where me, I do like a 5-minute ramp, and then I'll like extend it to 20 minutes of like low zone 2 riding, and then my warm up, and then little recovery, and then the workout set for the day. And then I'll add endurance afterwards. And I just have a workout like plus 1 hour that if a ride ends and I want to keep riding, I just, before like the workout technically ends, I'll go back to my workout files, click ride that, and ride that again.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, so I'm trying to, in preparation for the interview. I mean, I know a little bit about you and the legend that is Chase around our area has grown and everything. But like I happened to look at some of your stuff on Strava, if you don't mind, and like it's just incredible. I mean, 100 miles or so at a crack. I mean, that's absolutely incredible, man. And I know we talked about a little bit about this in the pre-production, but I still have yet to ride 100 miles outside or inside. I'm more of a I don't know, maybe like an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if I'm pushing it or have nothing to do if the cable's out or something. But I don't know. Actually, we don't have cable anymore. It's all streaming. But anyway, so how do you prepare yourself for that, for those long rides, and how do you get through them? How do you do that?
Yeah. So I do use erg mode, and I have I think it's a 13-inch. So I do not have a fancy Zwift setup by any means. I have my bike in the corner of the garage. There's a whole bunch of dead bugs and like spider webs next to my trainer. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
They're my friends. So I'm never lonely.
You're motivated to escape the bugs.
Yeah. And like my desk is this like wooden thing that was in the garage when we bought it. It has like a lower shelf and then a upper shelf, and it doesn't like lean back into my bike to make it easier. So like I'm essentially having to like reach out forward a little bit to like, okay, like it's not super far, but it's like, I'm kind of stretching. And then so that's like my Zwift setup. Oh, I have multiple fans around me because cooling is lots of fans and lots of towels. So I have two fans. One that if this whole winter, it's been like I started my sweatshirt 10 minutes into the ride. I take my sweatshirt off. 10 or 20 minutes after that, I turn the fan on, but I have that pointed not towards me, just to like kind of get the air circulating for some cooling. And then about 30 minutes into the ride, I have fan number 1 blown on me. And then if I'm doing intervals, fan number 2, which is even stronger. So the one I turn on first is this one, like just a stand-up fan, nothing too big. And then the next one is a box fan that I turn on for intervals. And then I use erg mode for my riding, for all of my rides. But then I put Zwift into like the corner of my laptop in like probably no bigger than an iPhone screen. And I always make it visible, but then usually I would say like not addicted to YouTube, but I very much enjoy watching YouTube. So I have YouTube up as the main thing on my screen. If I'm doing intervals, I'll like have music up on YouTube. If not, I'm usually just watch like triathletes actually make a lot of good content on YouTube. So I watch a lot of that. Bike racing started in January. So that, or like world tour racing. So like actually after this, I'm going to hop on the trainer and then watch Milan San Remo finish. Oh, and there's also cyclocross racing in the winter. So on weekends, it makes it a little easier to like wake up at like 5 or 6, hop on the trainer, watch some YouTube videos for an hour, then watch the women's race. Then there's always this big break for some reason between the two races. Watch a little bit of videos and then watch the men's race. And then like 3 or 4 hours have passed, but it's gone by so quick. So that's, yeah, I guess like the YouTube stuff distracts me because YouTube videos are usually meant for like short attention span. Like they have screen changes pretty often just to like keep you engaged because like that's how they make money as YouTubers,
right?
Like your engagement rate. Whereas a video or a documentary, like a movie on Netflix, isn't built like that. So it's more challenging, at least for me, to turn a movie on and be like very engaged into it for more than 10 or 20 minutes. And then like, okay, like this is not moving fast enough for me. Actually, yeah. So the first movies I've ever watched on the trainer happened this year, and I watched all of the Harry Potter movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like whenever like is Hagrid, is he the guy? He's the guy with the big beard, right? Yeah. I don't know too much about Harry Potter. I've watched them all. I've seen them all, but like, do you ever do a thing like where whenever he's on the screen, just sprint or something?
No. So I'm very like structured with my training. Okay. So zone 2 ride. Actually, I love erg mode because of it. Like I don't have to be looking at if my pedals are moving, I know I'm doing like 200 watts is what I put my zone 2 at. And I know that I am at that like wattage. So and I stay there. Like sometimes I'll go off of erg mode just to like, I don't want to press the extra hour button. So I'll be like, okay, pause workout. And then I'll bike for like a minute, start it. And and keep doing that till I get like an extra 20 minutes or 30 minutes of riding in.
That's awesome. That's a good tip for everybody too, because there's times when I feel like I need to do that, or if I can't hit my OTS, if I know I'm not going to hit it because for whatever reason, which is still a mystery to me, but because you do your hour at the prescribed thing, and then I'm still not hitting my OTS, I'm just not going hard enough, I guess. Anyway, that's a me problem. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about that in the next donut ride for a little bit until you go to the front. But that's going to be awesome. So then, that's a good tip though. I appreciate that. So then when you're Zwifting in the corner, and I'm the same way, man. It's like it's 60 degrees here in my basement, and which I don't know what that is in Celsius for people, but I do the same thing. I'm wearing a jacket usually, and then I warm up, then the fan starts, and then I don't know. It gets cold, but it's cold, but it's always like it was like when you're riding outside. It's always the first 10 minutes are the coldest or whatever. But anyway, you warm up quick. So now let's talk about some of these some of the races that you're preparing for this season, if you don't mind. What are your targets for those? Are they? I mean, I know they're these mega distances, but what is your target for them? Is it completion? Is it as far as like I know you want to win all of them, but I'm just saying like how do you prepare for such long events like this? I guess is that a good question, or does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not really.
So
oh, okay. Yeah.
I can go a little back into the training and then
Sure.
how I like prepare myself the week of and everything.
Yeah. Just because I guess I'm more curious is like I mean, how do you even wrap your head around the FKT, which maybe this is a good time to talk about that. Why don't we talk about how you did that for the fastest known time in Oklahoma? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So this winter, I put in 20 to 30-hour weeks on mostly on the trainer. Usually, I don't know. Again, addicted to YouTube, so it's very easy to
to keep moving
do that
the whole time.
And I made like a little short series. If you go to my Instagram, about I did to start the year from January 1st to the 7th. I rode. It was
saw that.
like 41 hours, and I was mostly in the B Jackies group on Tempest. If you get or have like Zwifters are probably like B Jackies. Because the speed is so fast on Tempest Fungi. And I thought it would be funny and cool to make a video series about how I rode 1,000 miles in the first 7 days of the year. So like also then I joined every Strava group to make sure I was at the top of because if you look at my Strava, I have the Granny's Gravel Grinder bike reg link in it. And I actually used to put my coaching website on there, and I got like several coaching clients just from being at the top of leaderboards and having my website link there.
This is a business decision.
This is advertisement, like free advertising 101. Just ride a whole bunch of miles. But now I'm like pretty full with coaching clients, so I just have my Granny's Gravel Grinder registration link there, and I think people see it and they register, which is really cool. Sorry, tangent. Okay.
It's okay.
So because I rode all of these miles in the winter and I'm having this kid around April 5th, I really wanted to do well these first 3 races of the season. And in Minnesota or in the US, I would call them like the spring gravel classics. We have Belgian Waffle Ride Arizona, which is pretty mountain bike focused. Like it's on a gravel bike, but you're on mountain bike trails. So there's a lot of technical handling, and biking in Zwift all winter. You aren't the best bike handler, especially when you're racing against the best bike handlers in the country. So did that. I got 10th place. Really happy with
awesome.
if you don't know, sorry, I'm going to toot my own horn just for one moment. Maybe one of the highlights of my season. If you don't know who he is, I out-climbed Keegan Swenson.
Woo!
I had to pass him up the first climb, which he's like the best biker that stays in the United States for racing. I mean, we have guys in the world tour that are better than him, but if you follow the off-road scene, he's the guy. Obviously, we start going downhill on some double track and he passes me and I never see him again. So, but just for that one moment of as someone who I don't know how I passed him on a climb, but so that happened. I get 10th. I'm really happy with that because of being on Zwift all year. Essentially, a group of 7 went up the road and I never saw them again. So, and I was in no man's land for a little bit. But then next weekend was Valley of Tears, race that suits me a little bit more. I can use my gravel disc wheel, and then but there's one technical section. So I'm like, I may lose the group there. I don't know. And I end up getting, I'm going to say tied for fourth. A group of 3 went up the road really early. Some team tactic stuff went on. And then we roll in 4th through 7th through the finish line before we were supposed to go out and do another loop. But they called the race as we were at the finish line. They didn't let us know ahead of time that like, hey, you should probably sprint. So I just said I finished in the back because I just took a poll and was like, at the back of our group. But so I'm just saying I tied for 4th through 7th with this. And then Mid-South, which is like the biggest spring classic, kind of like a Paris-Roubaix or Tour of Flanders if you follow pro road racing. That one suits me a lot. Really good because it's grid system, which means like you're taking 90-degree right turns or left turns in the middle of, well, out there it's just fields. It's not even cornfields. And then like, there was fires Friday. So then essentially the race ends up getting canceled. I'm still like around. I wanted to do this mega FKT anyways. But I wanted to do something cool before the baby came. And then race is canceled. I'm still on the fence. I see, because I also wanted to get home because I haven't seen my wife in 10 days. And then, I decide, I see Ted King post, he's going to do it. Competitive Chase inside of me was like, okay, well, now you need to do it. Then I'm like, I go find Bobby Wentel, the race director. I tell him, and he's like, heck yeah. See, no swearing. That was a heck.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And yep. So I make a post. I put it out there publicly, so I couldn't back out when I only wake up with 3.5 hours of sleep and want to go back to bed. So and then Ted King starts he started at 6:03 and I was supposed to start at 6:30, but my bike wasn't all put together. So I started at 7 a.m. and we went out and like raced and raised funds for those affected by the wildfires. And we made a competition out of both the FKT and the fundraising stuff. So it was a great day, just raising awareness for, or like turning lemons into lemonade is what we were doing. And like media crew out there, just like super cool. And I ended up, one of the main reasons why I did it was because like I didn't want I peaked, like my A race for the season was probably Mid-South. And so I was like, I cannot, and obviously you can have more than one A race, but like that was like the one with all the stars next to it. So I didn't want that fitness to go to waste. And maybe I could have just like kept training and I wouldn't have to eat a whole bunch of food and do nothing this week. But no, I don't care that my season, like the next few weeks will probably be rough for training because raised awareness, Ted King and I together have probably raised $12,000 so far.
That's awesome.
And now there would be like a documentary coming out about it actually, because we had a camera, like we had media following us. And so like we made the best of that situation. And people with my 40-hour week, I get a lot of like comments like, why would you ever do that? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I guess now I can say I do these crazy training weeks. So like, if the moment arises for me to do something crazy, I can be like, oh yeah, this, like, I don't need to question whether or not I can do it because I know that I can. Like, I don't know, just riding my bike for 18 hours. One of those videos is of me the last day in this 1,000-mile thing I did at the beginning of January, I just ate Glazer donuts, which are donuts from a gas station in the Driftless region called Kwik Trip.
Yep, we have to talk about that too. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. So like my gut, I knew my gut could handle just eating whatever. Which
that's good training for that.
Yeah. So like I was ready, and yeah, that's how I ended up doing. And like I beat Ted King by 20 minutes, and yeah, it was like it was the most memorable weekend probably of like biking ever.
Yeah, that's truly making lemonade.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Like definitely.
Absolutely. And can we before I forget this, can we give a shout out to your what is the saddle that you use of choice here? What do you have for your saddle?
It's whatever my bike fitter gave me. So Chris Balzer was the one who gave it to me. I think it's a Velo saddle of some sort. I told him I need more of them because this is like kind of swooped down now.
Man.
Yeah, I've had it for 4 years now.
Wow.
So.
And you have a Lauf fork, right? Is it the full bike too? Is that what you're using? And yeah.
So I ride a little quick equipment rundown. I run a Lauf Segla with their gravel suspension fork, which has 30 millimeters of like suspension. I would say it just helps eat up the little chatter you get on the roads. And then my like wheel setup was Continental Race King tires, 2.2 inch. Those were on head Emporia. Well, the front is a head Emporia wheel with Silca, their new sealant inside, bird spokes, another like vibration dampening technology. They're not like Aero by any means, but it helps. Like I have this full Aero setup, and then I have round spokes in the front, and people lose their minds over it. And then so that's the front wheel. I'm sponsored by Good Life Nutrition, so I started with 600 grams of carbs on me before I had to transition to like gas station food. And then so that's like what's in my bottle cages. And then my rear is another Conti Race King 2.2, and that's on a one of a kind head Emporia wheel with their carbon fairings glued to it. So it's a disc wheel. I've never brought it to the wind tunnel. I think it's faster. It looks faster. It makes the cool whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yeah, it looks sweet.
I've seen a photo of it on your Strava, and I'm like, this thing looks like it rips.
Yeah. So that's like the main setup. And then I had Profile Design ASC 43 aero bars, which are a good way to get that. Like if you the old aero bars used to just be sticks that pop out, and now all of the new stuff is like kind of formed to your forearm and up a little higher, and those are like a good entry level aero bar to like, they're kind of formed to your aero bar. The sticks or wherever you grip is kind of upwards, and I had blips taped to them so I could just sit in the aero bars and essentially shift without having to get out of them. And they're super comfy. And then so that's my main. And I have an Abus helmet. That's like my last sponsor I should shout out. And I actually, one story is during the ride, so I put with the aero bars, and I have aero handlebars, so they're like flat on top. I'm supported by exposure lights, but I don't have their like rubber band thing that can work with flat top aero bars. So I like tried screwing their like circle clamp really close to my stem. That wasn't working because then it was hitting my head tube. So then I had to put on some like cheaper Bontrager light. I knew that was gonna die in the evening, so I like pull over. I brought the exposure light with me and a roll of tape. And I'm like, I end up just taping it to my stem to have it stick out a little further. Cause I was like, either I have this like dim light, which actually probably could have lasted the rest of the time, but I wouldn't be able to like see far enough out. So I tape the exposure light on. Then I can see the whole road, stay in my air bar. So I'm like, sure, it cost me like 3 minutes of stop time, but I feel like staying in the aero bars and like being able, also on those downhills, there's some ruts and like I could have crashed and like that could have been really bad. So I was like, it's way more safe if I stop and put a better light on. So I got to give a shout
safety first.
Yeah, safety first. And thanks Exposure Lights for making a cool light. And now they are going to send me the rubber band system so I can have it work on flat top aero bars.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, otherwise you're just sponsored by duct tape or
and shout out local company 3M for the tape. No.
But that's a local company for your wheels and spokes. So for Minnesota. So that's awesome. That's so cool. Oh man. And then I did have a question about here for about a gravel tip here. Cuz somebody told me this once too, and I've heard it other places, but when you're going downhill, are you coasting or should you be constantly pedaling to supposedly keep your balance front weighted? What's your take on that?
So when it matters how big of a hill it is. So what I say is like consistent pedaling is going to be faster than sprinting up a hill and then coasting down a hill. So essentially what I tell my clients is if it's flat, stay in like your high zone 2. If their goal is just completion, if they're not racing is a different thing. But if you want your fastest time and to complete the event, it's on the flat, and it matters how far this event is. So I'm going to say in a 6-7 hour ride, it's high zone 2 on the flats. On any uphills, hit tempo, sweet spot. Like don't go into threshold and start building lactate up. And then up and over that hill, like if you do want to coast, at least start pedaling down the hill till you're like a third or a quarter of the way down. I mean, sometimes it's just so steep that you'd be spinning out, but like, at least go up and over and pedal. And then I don't know about the balance thing. I've never heard of that, but like, I think that's just like a minute detail. Like you're not gonna, the bike's not all of a sudden gonna do a wheelie because you're not pedaling. So I don't know what advice you got there. Yeah, but
I've heard that before, and like someone asked a question, so I said I would ask. So
if you can put power out on the downhill at like zone 2 without spinning out, do that and like try to maybe you're not even doing zone 2, but maybe you're just at like pace, but get like maybe a little bit more aero and pedal if you can. But if it's so steep, it would probably be more dangerous if it was steep and you're just kind of like, your chain could get thrown off and you could drop your chain. And
good point. See, I'm glad I asked. And then, and now you alluded to eating glazers, which glazers are a donut that's at the at the Kwik Trip gas stations, which is pretty much every gas station around here where we live anyway. And they kind of to give people an idea of what they are. They're not as like melty as like a Krispy Kreme donut that just melts in your mouth, and they're amazing. These are kind of like that. There's a little bit more substance to them, but you can still easily eat 6 of them in any time at all, and they taste like kind of like melted marshmallows almost. What do you think, Chase? I
think if you get them fresh, I think they melt just like Krispy Kreme. Or if you like find a plate somehow at Quick Trip and you go to the microwave and you throw one in the microwave for 10 seconds. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah, it looked like you were a big fan of Quick Trip.
Yeah, we need to talk about your ride up Minnesota. Yeah, because you went to every single you only used Quick Trip to stop about. I mean, that was a couple years ago, right?
So in 2023 or 22, I did a stunt of me trying to get sponsored by Quick Trip, and I thought it would be cool if I rode from the Iowa-Minnesota border all the way up to the Minnesota-Canadian border, only fueling at stopping at Quick Trips. So, which is very easy in the southern part of the state. I went by multiple Quick Trips actually and did not stop. But then, so this is a 480-mile ride, and I did it on my birthday.
All right.
And like the last Quick Trip up north is about 120 miles away from the Canadian border. So it was load up on everything there. And I mean, it's cold, so it's not like I'm running into a dehydration issue. Mm-hmm. But then, just sent it. I mean, at Quick Trip, they offer more than just Quick Trip food. Like I think I had multiple sandwiches. Actually, I really like their muffins because essentially, I think the first ingredient in their muffins is sugar. So, like, you'd have this little muffin that's smaller than the size of a fist, and it's over 500 calories. And it's just like, actually, when I biked to Old Fashioned Gravel last year, I biked to the start. I was like, I need more food. So I like stopped and I just got muffins because I'm like, I know it's not like a
calorie dense.
Yeah, it's calorie dense. It's not heavy on your stomach either. So it's really easy.
I love that you had a I Love Quick Trip jersey.
Oh yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Bora, which is another local. Actually, I have a prototype skin suit from them that I used for the FKT, and it has the new like rail or striped sleeves that even some world tour teams aren't using, which I think it's cool that I have. Like, I'm very aero focused, and Bora is like 100% backing me with that, and we're doing cool testing things. But yeah, they made I brought up the idea to them I brought up the idea to them Friday, and I told them I wanted to do this on Monday. And they're like, yeah, I think we can do it. And I was like, the jersey design does not have to be crazy or anything. Just like have the Minnesota logo on the back with like an up arrow. Here's like the logos I already sent you. Put those on the pockets. On the front, use that. So they also made a custom skin suit when I proposed to my wife that had a heart, and then it said, "Will you marry me?"
No
so I was like, use that heart and then just have it say "I heart" and then take the Quick Trip logo. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
I'll still like bust that skin suit out sometimes, and like if I know I'm gonna stop at a Quick Trip or two on the ride. Go ahead.
Oh my. No, that's just gas station food is something that we've talked about on this podcast, because when you are bonking, or hopefully you don't get to that point, but that does happen, and you know what you grab at the at the Quick Trip, which that is hilarious. And I'd like to toot my own horn here for just a second, because I was biking with somebody in our area where we live. Quick Trip is from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I end up riding with people that I know work at Quick Trip and everything, and work in the corporate office and everything. This guy Dustin right here is I'm responsible for them having nachos, which I think they actually have now discontinued, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But I was talking to one of the guys who's like, it works at corporate. I'm like, how come we don't have nachos here? And like I wouldn't stop talking about it, because you can go to any other state and go to 7-Eleven, you can get nachos, and it's like that gooey cheese. It's like half plastic, half yellow, and a little bit of cheese or whatever, you know. And anyway, I'm like, how come we don't have this? And lo and behold, like 2 or 3 months later, he got it done. So you're welcome, everybody. Yeah, and yeah. So next time you get really bad indigestion from their chili cheese / nacho cheese machine, like that's me. So yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, that is just amazing. And you know, Chase, this is just fantastic. I really hope that you know, people. We're gonna give. I'm gonna have all the links to all the different events that you're doing here that we have sponsored. We're gonna put them in there for sure, and so people can see that. And do you mind if I link some of your Strava stuff in there, because that is just incredible?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and like if you want, put I don't know if you can share Instagram stories, but if you want, put that.
We'll get your Instagram on there. Absolutely. And then we and the story about the FKT and everything, and I cannot imagine what was going through Ted King's mind when you showed up just like right after him. And like I mean, I'm sure he had a couple of nice things to say, but yeah.
he did 6, so I averaged 198 watts for that ride.
Wow.
And he averaged 260. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
So if people, and obviously he's a bigger human than I am, I mean, I'm not skin and bones by any means. I probably weighed like 73 kilos after drinking a half liter of root beer and eating a whole sleeve of Oreos beforehand and half a large pizza the night before. But,
oh man.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who don't think aerodynamics matters, or if you think it's just silly, like if I didn't have aero bars, a disc wheel, goofy looking socks that go all the way up to my kneecaps, like Ted would have the record, and I probably would still be out there biking, probably sleeping in a ditch because I'd be going much slower. So yeah, like all of that stuff adds up.
Oh man, that is incredible. And we didn't even talk about your chain thing too, but your waxer.
I have more time if you want to go through more questions.
But, well, like, I know. Yeah, well, I do. But well, can you just talk real quick about your chain efficiency and everything like that too, or drivetrain efficiency, please? Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess real drivetrain people will scoff that I do use SRAM, which the newer, I have to use a SRAM chain because I have the new SRAM Red Explorer 13 speed.
Ooh.
But to like help with that, I do have I use the Silca wax, and actually this whole winter with all the Zwifting I did, I mean, I would never change my gear because I'm in erg mode. So I just essentially have the chain lined up completely straight for like the most efficient line. I would only have to wax. So I use the Silca waxing system, which is like a crock pot that you can set the temp to. And then they have a hook that you can hang your chain from. I would only have to wax like once a month, which I thought was super cool. I didn't even have their endurance chip, Silca's endurance chip, which is supposed to make the wax last a little longer, and you lose like 1% of the drivetrain efficiency, or like I can't remember. It's very small. But and then and actually for the FKT the night before, so pro tip, if you have the Silca waxing system, or if you have a crock pot, is when your chain is in, like swoosh it around, let it sit in there for however long you want. I don't think that part matters as much, at least probably 30 seconds to a minute. But what I do is I let the wax cool down till a like thin layer of wax is solidifying on top. And then I slowly pull my chain out, which gets me a thicker, like if you pull it out right away, most of the wax, a lot of the wax will stay on, but a lot of it just like drips off. If you slowly pull it out, you get more of a layer of wax, which I was Sunday or Saturday night before the FKT, I pulled it out maybe a little too late because the next morning there was so much wax in between
Just chunky.
a lot of the chain rings, and I'm like sitting there like having to like smash it down into the chain ring to like get all of that stuff out. But it lasted me, I think it would have lasted me the whole entire ride. I made it to mile 250. I had a bottle of like their secret chain lube with me just in case it started not sounding nice. But at mile 250, I'm like, well, I'm stopped and it's been 250 miles on dusty roads. I should probably just put some on anyways to like, you know, maybe it saves a while. I don't know. So yeah, I threw that on. I wish I almost wouldn't have to see like if it could have made it the whole 300 miles, 18 hours, no endurance chip in that stuff. So like, yeah, shout out to Silca for making a awesome wax.
Yeah, I use the same thing, but I probably go all summer.
Yeah.
I don't put it the type of miles that you do, but oh man, that is incredible. And all those little like so and it's always I know we don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but that when you put your chain on your bike for the first time after it's been waxed, it's like, oh man, my shifting's all screwed up and everything. But how long do you think it took for that to break in when you were doing the FKT, or were you not even thinking about it?
I take my whenever I put the wax chain on, I usually will spin. I go to the smallest cog because then it will kink it the most to like really break in the wax. And I probably spin it for like 30 seconds or kind of just till I can't keep up with how fast the rear wheel is going. So, yeah, but this is a hack. Infinite chain lube. If you're only on the trainer, set something underneath your trainer to collect all that wax, and you can just keep putting it back into the crock pot. And it does like wax isn't evaporating into the air. So actually you could just take your pile and just keep using it. As long as your drivetrain system is 100% clean. So like take a new bike, put it on there with the wax chain, because it will only be wax in this system. And yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, I brought that up to I asked Silca about it, and they're like, yeah, like you could do that. And I was like, okay, now I won't have to ask you for bags of wax wax lasts. I mean, a bag of Silca wax, it's $40 or whatever, but it lasts. I lose them before I run out usually. So yeah.
I think I'm on my first bag still, and it's been about this is my second or third season doing it. So and I just keep on doing the wax, everything. I'll wax other people's chains too, but if they come over. But let's just keep going. It's awesome, man. So, okay. This is probably a good place for us to, because honestly, Chase, I could talk to you all day, and I know Josh could too. This is awesome. I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And all this came up was because I was doing a group ride, or I think I was doing a pace partner ride, and then like when you get done with Strava, it said you rode with these people. I'm like, and it said Chase was on there. I'm like, oh my gosh, Chase is on here. Like, and I knew that you were on Zwift, but like and I'm like, but I wasn't sure, and how much you were using it, and then like, I looked at your Strava and everything, and like, holy cow, you're using it all the time and everything, and like, we got to get you on, and you're so graciously to do this, so thank you for this. We wish you the best of luck this season. And before we close the episode, did you have any other shout outs or anything that you want to talk about?
No, not like. Are you guys sponsored by Silca?
No, but we should be.
Okay, I'll do a quick code plug, I guess. So I have an affiliate code, waxing with Wark, for 15% off. So it's actually, they don't pay me with that affiliate code, but you get more off than you would with like a Bonk Bros code or whatever.
Nice.
And then Good Life. Oh, It's blurry. Which, okay, if you, whatever carb mix you have, cool, whatever. I think their stuff is great. It uses a cluster dextrin. What I think everyone should do is, if you like electrolytes and you spend a whole bunch of money on electrolytes, go to feelyourgoodlife.com. You can buy a bag that's 180 servings of electrolytes. And this is the one product from them I like really want everyone to use. I think their carbs are great. If you buy them, cool. Their endurance recovery chocolate mix tastes just like Fairlife when you mix it up. That's also delicious. But I think people are wasting. I did this last year. I wasted a whole bunch of money. Not wasted, because I didn't know about this. I spent a whole bunch of money on single serving electrolyte mixes that were like $1 per serving, and they tasted okay at best. The Good Life raspberry electrolyte mix, 180 servings. Use code Chase20, and it's like $37 plus. Well, then there's shipping, but go buy that endurance recovery chocolate stuff. That stuff's delicious also. And so it's like 20 cents a serving, and it tastes amazing. And like, that's what's in this bottle right now. And I love it. And I hope other people can try it and like love it, because
seems like a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, last year I would go to Great Value, and actually like the best tasting stuff I found was like the strawberry Great Value thing, but it was still like 90 cents per serving. I'm like, why can't I was like looking how to make it. I was looking online for like a tub of electrolyte mix. Couldn't find anything. And then I'm partnered with Good Life, and yeah, their electrolytes are, and the biggest thing is it tastes really good. So
yeah, that's good.
That's half the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. It's seriously hard to do that. Yeah. And I've heard about people mixing their own and everything too. And it's interesting, but I can never get it right. So, yeah. But yeah. Oh man. Well, so Chase, thank you so much. I mean, again, a big thank you to Chase coming on the podcast and sharing your knowledge with us. We wish you the best of luck with everything. We'll be watching you throughout the season as well, and hopefully seeing you at one of the world famous donut rides. That's going to be awesome too. So that'll be great.
I will try to make it down. I'll ask for more details after this.
Yes, definitely. And it's basically a summer ride. But anytime you want to come down, I'll go with you, and I'll hug your wheel until I can. Yeah. But yeah. And again, thank you to all of our listeners. This week and every week, we have our Watopian Weekly Zwift Club and Discord server. Please send us any messages that you have or recipes for hot dishes or anything. With some, go ahead and get us to hit us up on email at watopianweekly@gmail.com, and someone will get back to you within 24 to 72 hours of your email. We thank you all. We'll be posting all these links in the description and everything. And another big thing, we're finally on Apple Podcasts. For some reason we weren't there because I screwed something up, but we're on Apple Podcasts and everything now. Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and RSS feeds as well. So great news for that. And again, thank you to Chase, thank you to Josh for being here, and everyone and everything, and thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you in Watopia.
Thank you.